Welcome to Nightmare County. I'm your host, Rando M. Gould. And on this video, we're going to talk about a movie that I think pretty much everyone watches within the horror community during the month of March, or close to St. Patrick's Day, Leprechaun. And I'm going to cover all the Leprechaun movies, all 8 of them, which is amazing if you really think about it. But on this video, I'm only going to cover the first one and the second one. And then I'm probably going to do another video on, not on Leprechaun, but like Unlucky Charms, and then get back into the Leprechaun series later on in the weekend and week. But yeah, Leprechaun was a movie that was kind of special for many of us during the VHS days, because it was one of those movies that seemed like all the kids didn't watch but knew something about because they'd seen the box cover, or there was that one kid who had actually watched it and told all of us other kids about it on the playground, and we all kind of obsessed over it, kind of like Chucky on the Child's Play films and everything, because those films, I guess, dealt with it seemed like they were almost like where you could watch it as a kid, but they were too scary for us kids, you know. And but Leprechaun, I saw Leprechaun 1 and 2 and 3 all in one night back when I was probably probably around 9 or 10 years old. Probably I was about 10, and because we rented a bunch of VHS movies and stayed at a friend's house and just watched a bunch of, and nearly all of them were either it was the first 3 Leprechaun films and a bunch of Full Moon House flicks like Ghost Town or Puppet Master stuff. So for some reason we had rented a bunch of movies with either fairy tale creatures being the villain like Rumpelstiltskin, and or evil puppets like the puppet from Puppet Master and everything. Why we rented those kind of movies, I have no idea, but it was a very fun night, and I have fond memories of Leprechaun. If it seems like a lot of people do. But Leprechaun was just something, was, even though it wasn't this spectacularly made film, it was still a lot of fun, and it was a lot of fun to talk about on the playground or with the other kids and stuff. And we'd come up with these scenarios with about the Leprechaun and the things that he would do and everything. Same thing with Chucky, and so on and so forth. And it was just it was really cool. But hey, let's talk about Leprechaun right quick. Leprechaun came out in 1993 and was directed by Mark Jones. Mark Jones also directed Rumpelstiltskin in 1995 and the 2007 Triloquist. It seems that Mark Jones really loved to deal with fairy tale like settings for his horror films, and his films always had mainly dealt with a lot of humor mixed with the horror. So it really did well with the comedy horror, and the comedy depending on everyone's personal taste, of course. But the movie starred Warwick Davis, who was probably from one of my favorite movies, Willow. He starred as the Leprechaun. The movie also starred the then unknown Jennifer Aniston, Mark Holton, who people had seen in several 80 flicks like Teen Wolf and many others throughout the 80s and 90s. And Robert Gorman, who was a kid that I think seemed like he was always in everything. When I was a kid, he was in Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead, Mr. Nanny, and Rookie of the Year. This cast rounded out the first film pretty well, and their energy makes the film even better. The movie is about a man who steals 100 gold coins from a leprechaun played by Warwick Davis while he's vacationing in Ireland. The leprechaun follows him back home, where he falls trapped to the murderous creature, locked in a crate and held at bay by 4-leaf clover. As the years pass, a father and daughter, played by Aniston, rent the old house housing Leprechaun that is soon released accidentally by the new neighbors, sending the creature on a murderous rampage as he seeks to claim all 100 pieces of his gold. The movie was made on a low $1 million budget, making well over $8 million and creating a new horror franchise. As I said, this movie was just a lot of fun whenever I saw it as a kid, you cannot take this movie seriously. And if you ever see the movie and you see how Warwick Davis is acting as Leprechaun, there's no way that you could take this film seriously. It's just fun. It's just a movie you put on, you laugh at, and you enjoy it. Is it great? By no means. No, it's not. But as I would say, an early film to get kids into, not kids, but if you want to get younger kids or teenagers into horror, it's a fun flick to show them and kind of get them into the more adult stuff as they get older and everything. In my opinion, anyway. Because when I saw it, I mean, it's really not overly violent in a bad way. It's just, it does have some gore in it, but and from my understanding, Mark Jones, whenever he directed this, I mean, the film didn't nearly have as much gore in it. The studios were like, Trimark was like, I need to do some reshoots and put some more gore into it, which is what they did. And it's really not that gory, even by today's standards. It's not that gory, but for the 90s, it was a fun little flick, especially when you found it on VHS and him peering through the doorway on the box cover and everything. I really love that and everything. And what's amazing to me about how iconic the series became in the 90s and up into the 2000s, I mean, it has spawned 8 other films behind this one, which says a lot for the longevity of this character. It seems like there's a cult following behind it and people just love it. He's never received an official action figure, which is amazing to me, because we have a Wishmaster figure, which I do not have behind me, but I do have a Wishmaster figure from the Tom McFarlane Toys days, and which came out at about the same time as Leprechaun did. It's like there was these films that came out in the 90s. They like, the creature effects were always awesome, were always spectacular. Even though the films weren't overly that great, it was like something about the creature effects were just awesome. And even though the stories, there was something about the stories that they grabbed the imagination and everything, and you wish more from it. And we would always talk about these films whenever when I was a kid and everything, and I just loved them. And I think Leprechaun just happens to get something across that's enjoyable. It's a film that it's just, you can't help but enjoy. I mean, you can tear it apart if you wanted to, as you can tear apart any film. But for low budget film that starring a murderous leprechaun, it's quite awesome. And just like I said, fun. That's only if you ever seen this movie. If you've never seen it, and you go into it, it usually comes on Sci-Fi Channel. They always do like a marathon around Christmas time, St. Patrick's Day. It is just going to it with low expectations and just prepare to laugh and probably roll your eyes 1 or 2 times. But other than that, just have fun with it and just don't put too much thought into it, and you'll totally enjoy it, as I did. And like I said, I saw it when I was younger, so I'm probably a little bit more nostalgic about it than what most people of today would be. But I enjoyed the heck out of it. So let's go on to our next flick, which is Leprechaun II. Leprechaun 2, to a lot of people, I think feel like that it's the one of the better. It's way better than the first film. Of course, it had a bigger budget because Trimark was like since the first film did so well, we'll up the budget. Whereas the first film was $1 million, this movie was $2.5 million. Or no, it was $2 million. It wasn't 2.5. It only made like 2.5 million on this budget, making its budget back. But it was made for $2 million, so it had a bigger budget. And with a bigger budget, it had better writing, it had better effects, production value, acting, and humor. But Mark Jones wasn't on this flick either. This film was left up to Rodman Flinders, I do believe. And the movie is basically just like totally ignores anything that happened in the first flick. It's like as if the first film didn't even exist, and it just starts over with Leprechaun looking for a bride, and that's pretty much the whole movie. It's you run into all these hijinks with the Leprechaun continuously looking for a bride in California, and the film is a lot of fun. Like, the humor does work a little bit better in this flick than it did in the first one, and it does have better acting. And the effects are pretty fun as well, as you get to also see the Leprechaun's lair. It's a fun film. This film just further added to all of the kids that I knew at the time. our imaginations and the enjoyment of the character and everything. I personally think that Part 3 is the better of the series. I will admit, I have not seen the newest Leprechaun movie that came out just I think this 2 or 3 years ago. That doesn't star Warwick Davis as Leprechaun, but in this film, obviously the first 3 films, Leprechaun 3 is definitely the better flicks. It's like the humor got better, along with the effects and everything. But Leprechaun 2 it's strange because Leprechaun movies continue to get better up into Part 3. I can't vouch for Part 4 because Leprechaun in Space just was not a. I don't know. It's like the value from 3 to 4 is the production value just plummeted, into the depths of hell. But Leprechaun 2, like I said, it is a fun flick. It is just as good, if not better than the first film. You don't need to see the first film to know what's going on in the second film. Just to let you know. I mean, really, Leprechaun 2 ignores the mythology of the first film 100%. It brings in some different ideas about leprechauns and adds it to the from the lore and everything and puts it in this flick. And like I said, it's a fun flick. I enjoyed it. It's got some great one-liners from Warwick Davis' Leprechaun, and it stars in a bit part Clint Howard, who's only in it briefly, and a few other actors and stuff. Like I said, it's a fun flick. Watching 1 and 2 together is usually, I would say watching 1, 2, and 3 together is like the best way to enjoy the Leprechaun series. But there are other ones. But I'm going to review those later on this week. But I just want to cover 1 and 2. But if you get a chance, watch Leprechaun 1 and 2, and just watch them both with a low expectations. Go into it just to try and enjoy it, as they are fun flicks to watch. And I pretty much think anybody can find something in it they like and everything. And, I mean, why wouldn't anybody love a murderous leprechaun? I mean, it's gold. But, like I said, I enjoy these flicks. I'm hoping that you enjoy them. I hope you take my recommendation for it. And you you can find these flicks, I do believe, on Tubi TV or one of those other free streaming services. I watched it, I believe, on Tubi TV. The first 2 are. I don't know how long they're going to be on there. They'll probably end up on another free streaming service sometime later on, or you can wait till St. Patrick's Day and watch it on the Sci-Fi Channel. But like I said, I enjoy these flicks. They're a lot of fun, low budget fun, especially from the 90s, because the 90s really had a hard time in horror, in my opinion, and it was always the direct-to-video flicks that seemed to be the best thing about horror that came out. I mean, you had your blockbusters with Scream. I know what you did last summer. Silence of the Lambs and Hannibal and all of those. You had those mega budget or big budget horror flicks, but I personally love the direct-to-video scene of the 90s, especially when it came to Full Moon. They really pumped out some of a lot of fun direct-to-video releases. So did Trimark and Vidmark. I think it's Vidmark or Trimark. I'm probably messing that all up. Which would, in the early days of Lionsgate Entertainment as well. But that being said, I hope you enjoyed this little go over of Leprechaun 1 and 2, and I hope you seek them out and you watch them and you enjoy them. If not, you can tell me you hate them and you hate me for telling you to watch them. But I think you'll find something about it that you'll like, especially if you like creature features and special effects and everything. But that being said, I will cover the rest of the franchise throughout the rest of this weekend and next week before St. Patrick's Day. Get them all in, and also cover Unlucky Charms, which is a Full Moon Pictures movie with a leprechaun as well. And and I'll be covering an 80s flick from an 80s flick I really enjoyed, The Last Starfighter, and another one, The Legend of Billie Jean, which I can't wait to talk about. But that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you haven't already, hit that like button and subscribe, as I greatly appreciate it. And don't be a stranger and tune in.